Hi, welcome to the video overview of the Unit 3 Argumentative Research Paper Outline. For this assignment, you're going to complete and submit the outline template that is linked here, and we will take a look at that in a moment. Before beginning your outline, make sure you check your feedback on the Unit 3 article evaluations for approval of your new sources before beginning your outline. If you need additional sources as you complete your outline, make sure you email me a link so that way I can just take a look at it and make sure it's going to be okay for the paper. Your outline must use at least 6 sources as required by the final paper, and it must include in-text citations and a references page in order to avoid plagiarism. This assignment is going to help you develop the structure of your research paper and get feedback on the ideas you plan to present in your paper. So make sure you take a look at the rubric. This is a 50-point assignment. You're going to download and type directly into the outline template, and that will be submitted into D2L. So the purpose of this outline is to organize your ideas and your research. Keep in mind, this is not a linear process, so your outline may evolve and change as you continue in the writing process. So you're going to type the outline of your ideas for your research paper on this template. Phrases are fine. You do not need to write incomplete sentences other than the thesis statement. You must include parenthetical citations, in-text citations for all your source material. And remember, APA style requires that most of your textual evidence is paraphrased. Even when you paraphrase, you must include a citation. You may use 3 direct quotes on your outline and in the final paper. Keep in mind, when you are writing in CSET format, direct quotes must include some sort of setup. So you can do the setup with citation, you can do the setup by providing context. However, you cannot just simply begin with quotation marks and drop it into a paragraph. That's not a complete sentence. You must use at least 6 sources on your outline, because you have to use at least 6 sources in your final paper. And after you've completed your outline, you're going to type up a draft of your references page at the end of this document, making sure you double space your reference entries, have a hanging indent, put them in alphabetical order, and finally, make sure your references match your citations. Okay, so the first paragraph is going to be the introduction, and this is where you're going to hook your reader and give us just a little basic background. And then your introduction is going to end with the thesis statement. Then in the next section, this is where you're going to give a thorough explanation of the controversy. Your thesis statement must be argumentative in nature. You must be stating a position, making a claim on your topic. So in the background section, because you're making an argument, you've got to explain why this topic is controversial. So at a very basic level, you have to explain who, what, when, where, why, and how. And when you are looking at controversy, there are multiple sides of a controversy. So you need to explain that. For many topics, you're also going to have to provide some historical context. So, for example, if I am writing an argument about abortion of some sort, I would have to provide some historical context about the Roe versus Wade case. And then if there are any terms, unfamiliar laws, anything that needs to be defined. Okay, you cannot assume your audience understands all the terminology or laws or rules about your topic. Then you're going to get into your CSET paragraphs, where each paragraph is going to be focused on a specific claim. So the first thing I need to see is the main idea. What is the first claim? And you're going to type that here. Then you can include your textual evidence with citation. You do not have to include all of the ideas linking your textual evidence together. However, for many of you, you may want to consider the tie-in. So if it's helpful for you in outlining your ideas, thinking about CSET format, go ahead and include that tie-in. Also keep in mind, when you are using a direct quote, I have to include the setup before I put my direct quote. So you are going to need multiple claims in your paragraph or in your essay in order to support your thesis. So there's lots of claim 1, claim 1, claim 2, claim 3, and claim 4. At a minimum, in order to meet page count, you're going to need at least 4 claim paragraphs. However, many of you are also going to maybe need a 5th claim paragraph. So if you haven't already read the sample Unit 3 Argumentative Research paper, you may want to read that first, just so you can get an idea of the length of these paragraphs and the amount of detail that needs to be included. Because obviously, if your paragraphs are shorter, you may need more than just 4 claims. Now, everybody's research paper has to include a counterargument. So this would be the most significant or popular point the opposition makes. Now, you may have more than one counterargument. If you do have more than one counterargument, many of these topics are so complicated that there are multiple significant counterarguments. So if you do have more than one counterargument, then what you will do is just create a second counterargument paragraph. So on the outline, I'm going to put my cursor at the end of this supporting detail about my first counterargument. And if I hit enter one more time, you can see it automatically gives me another capital letter. And then I hit enter. I can tab over to get my detail. Okay, so you can modify this outline. Same thing with the claims up here. If you need to add additional claims, you can do that. Okay. Now, for each counter argument, you are going to need a rebuttal. So if you have one counter argument, you will have one rebuttal point. If you have 2 counter arguments, you are going to need 2 rebuttal points. But you have to type the response to the opposition in your rebuttal. So again, I need a main idea statement and then the supporting details. There is no way that you can write your claim paragraphs, your counter-argument paragraphs, or your rebuttal paragraphs without textual evidence. So I should see research in all of these sections. Then the conclusion, you're either going to call your audience to a particular action or way of thinking. You're going to tie up your essay by giving your final thoughts. A lot of people, because these are sophisticated arguments, like to look ahead. What's coming up next? What might the future hold? And then you'll want to restate your thesis. When you get to the end of your outline, I must see a draft of your references page. So all I have to do is put my cursor here and then hold down Control and hit enter. And now I will have a new page. And we know that references pages always have a header. So I'm going to center in bold font and I'm going to type references. Then you are going to have to set up your references page with a double spacing and a hanging indent. At this point in the course, you should know how to do that. I must see a reference for every single citation that you have used. That's what it means that your citations and references must match. So if let's say I used 8 sources in my paper, that would mean I would have citations for 8 sources, and I would then have 8 reference entries on my references page. So if you need to review APA format, please make sure you go into the APA reference guide in the course to review the expectations for in-text citations and references. I hope this video helps. As always, if you have any questions, make sure you reach out. Thank you.